like the McLean defended themselves. Journal de Québec, I guess they didn't. So they're depicting this woman. They're describing her as a woman who's a mother with a veil, and she's living, a very normal life. And then what happened is we discovered that this woman is a communicator expert, and her role is to change the description of the way people are perceiving religion and social benefit. But she was described as a mother. And this is happening in La Presse. This is happening in the Journal de Québec. This is happening in the Gazette. We're having these people, just like Samira Laouni, who are depicted by mothers, who are not. They're professional politicians who just knows their way. So when you need to stand up, you need to have a strategy, and you need to be resilient, and you need to stand up for your freedom. No resilience, no way we're going to win. So standing up and just say, we want the veil out of the public system. Well, let me tell you something. Nothing has happened. Everybody says that the face veil, our covered face veil, was supposed to be addressed by our government. It has not been addressed. Now there's laws saying it's even more legal. Most Muslim countries will not allow, where there's democracy, will not allow a woman to go vote with her face covered. We allow it in Canada. You have Christine Saint-Pierre said that during the Bouchard-Taylor Commission, there was going to be a hierarchy of rights where equality between men and women will be over the right to have religion. What happened? That has never been installed, but everybody was under the impression it was done. Nothing. If you're not resilient, nothing is going to be implemented, and they have no interest in implementing it. So be resilient. Use your freedom, more freedom. The imam that I exposed, I'm ready to print his book. People should read his book. I didn't expose him. I exposed him to test the commission. But you need to be resilient. This guy says you have to decapitate homosexuals. You women are not just inferior, you're allowed to beat them. He says that in his book. He prints it on the internet. What's happening? The Human Rights Commission gave him a free pass.
Sure.
So we need to be resilient and act with strategy, and we need to learn from the Europeans where they have failed in a certain way.
Right.
I'd like to ask a question about the situation in England. Do you think it will be possible one day that some Churchill-like guy could rise again and help people to bring back England to the former England where it was like a model for the rest of the world?
It's a consummation devoutly to be wished. The political situation in England is such a sad thing to look at. I really get especially sad about England. England is, as I said earlier, the land of Magna Carta. I don't understand. Both of them, all three of the major parties are just hopeless, and they pander for Muslim votes. And even though Britain has a broader spectrum of media politically than anywhere else in Europe, even the conservative press there plays these games that are just depressing.
Mr.
So
Bauer, if I can, because we're
yes,
going to have to leave soon. But what I find interesting, people are forgetting that in the 30s, it was almost the same thing with the media that we're having now. There was a guy called Walter Duranty, who never described the tyranny of the Nazis, never described the tyranny of the communists, the millions of people that died.
Yeah.
And Churchill was called an extremist. And he was
mocked.
Let's use Al Gore's thing. He was the inconvenient truth of the time. And then what happened is, I guess the king had to give him the prime minister's seat in a certain way to keep it simple. And then the war started, and there was only England left. Are we going to wait to be in that situation?
No.
So I'd like First of all, I'd like to excuse myself. It's terrible that the speaker did not work very well. And I'm sorry that there was not more people coming up, but we had an interview this morning with Richard Martineau, And we also had Fred, and when we were in Ottawa, asking questions as to why. Richard Martineau asked a very, very pertinent question. Why is it that the mainstream media are not talking about Bruce Bowers coming over here? And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't even feel like answering the questions. One of the key people that exposed, put in Le Devoir, the complaint that I made last year, I invited him to come. He said he was interested. Nobody came. Some core journalists that covered some of the issues, nobody came. They all said that they were interested at the beginning, and suddenly they just chilled out. Why? Maybe did we use the word multiculturalism? Is it that loaded that we can't talk about it? We use the word maybe immigration. We can't talk about it. So who knows what's happening, but there's definitely a problem. And maybe the blogosphere would be part of the solution, but we're noticing, we had conversation recently, and what we're noticing is that also people are not reading. People are not able to connect the dots together, and it's because they're not reading. I have a website, and I think one of the reasons people are not connecting the dots is because they're not reading through. So we're trying to find other solutions, trying to find other actions. There's definitely a problem. We're not able to steer and pull the people to wake up and stand up. So I think it's bleak. I would be more in the situation of Ayaan Arshi Ali and just describe the bleakness. And instead of hoping and instead of pretending that we're more people or less people or whatsoever, I think we now need to think in terms of results. We need to get results, and we're not getting them right now. And the more things are moving forward, the more people that are having values to limit free speech, to transform, genetically modify the language of human rights, are getting into higher stands and higher places in power. They're going deeper, wider, they're more effective, they're having a very, very powerful lobby. Some of these lobbies have been encouraging terrorism in the past, and they're now influential, and even some of the core governments. They may be conservative, they may be liberal, they may be NDP, they may be the Bloc, but they're influential. And we're not getting any results. So thank you for being here, and I'm going to leave you on this very bleak note. And I hope that I am going to hope that we're going to use more of our freedom and assume and name things and try to find ways to talk more about it, and maybe from there solutions will come. But we're not even in a position to be able to name solutions. Every solution that are ours, it's like putting a parachute in enemy land instead of an army and a beachhead and moving along. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience that the conference has caused. I will take the responsibility for that. And however, I would like to thank you very much for being here. I think the crowd was fantastic. And you've been very generous with your question. And I would like to thank Bruce Bauer for being in Montreal. It has been an honor to be in your company. And I think the interviews that you had and that you will have, I think they will be exposed to a lot more people. People will be able to see that you're not an extremist. You're not even moderate, but you're a very kind man. You care about human rights. It's not about a race. It's not about a supremacy. It's not about superiority whatsoever. You really care about human rights. And you're concerned that these are eroding in front of our very eyes. And I think in the interviews that we saw earlier, we were able to really get the feel for that. So we'll see how it's going to be cut up. So thank you for being here. And let's hope that the next time we're doing an event, we're going to be more.